Welcome back to the 411 Podcasting Network. I am your host, Larry Csonka, and this is episode 70 of the 411 on Wrestling Podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, any major podcasting platform, and of course the 411mania.com website. Please make sure to subscribe to our show, share us around with all your friends and on social media, and if you have time, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and any other platform you are using. Joining me today, as usual, is my co-host, Jeremy Lambert. Jeremy, how are you this evening, sir?
I am doing well. Share us around like we're whores.
Well, I mean, if you read the comments, apparently I'm getting that Tony Khan money, so...
Yeah, why do I not get this Tony Khan money? You're holding out on me, and I'm kind of pissed about it.
Trust me, brother, if I was getting Tony Khan money or Sweet Saudi money, you would have saw it by now. I am not greedy.
Well, if you're getting it, I need it, so, yeah.
I know, I need it too, but what are you going to do? But, yeah, we're here. It's the normal Wednesday night, Thursday early morning show covering AEW Dynamite, NXT TV, this week for November 27th of 2019, Jeremy. We start off with AEW Dynamite from Chicago this evening, and we started off with the celebration of Le Champion, Chris Jericho. This is the first time they started off the show with a promo-like segment. We had a marching band, inflatables, a giant gift in the ring, and Soul Train Jones hosting the event.
Yeah, the legend of Soul Train Jones. If you smartly read the oral history of Soul Train Jones, you would have known that this appearance was going to happen. I had this scoop before anybody else, so I knew this was coming. Still very excited to see it. Always happy to see the absolute legend Soul Train Jones.
So Le Champion arrived to the ring. He had a little bit of the bubbly with him. He got a big thank you Jericho chant, and he told the crowd to shut up. This is his time. It's his celebration, and he didn't want the idiots in the crowd to mess it up for him. He wants thank yous from the people that matter. Says there are coupons planted in the crowd under their seats, and if you look, you may get 50 cents off of a Chris Jericho t-shirt. I mean, what a generous man, Jeremy.
This ruled. Jericho 50 cent off the t-shirt. Apparently the little bit of the bubbly stuff is 100% real. You can get that. It's on sale now. It's a limited edition, so you can't get too much of it. It'll probably go fast, but they capitalized on that shit in a big way.
That's right, and he did announce on live television that you can buy a little bit of the bubbly at littlebitofthebubbly.com, and that is legit. So
they sent out a press. It's not only legit, like they sent out a press release for this.
Hey, God bless them if they make some fucking money, dude. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's like that fucker said that, made a t-shirt, and they sold out that shit. They went on TV. He hyped Inner Circle t-shirts. They shut down the website. It's like, hey, Jericho knows how to make money. So he and Soul Train shared a toast of the bubbly. He brought out his friends, his best friends in the world, the Inner Circle. Santana, Ortiz, and Guevara arrived. Guevara praised Jericho as a father figure. He thanked him for everything he did. And he presented Jericho with a present, which was a giant stand-up of the two hugging and looking like the biggest douchebags in the world. It was spectacular. Santana and Ortiz had a gift basket for him, which had such things as Vapo Rub, flip-flops, and a little bit of the 40, and then presented him with an official Puerto Rican headband to make him an official Boricua. And it was just...
This was great. The Puerto Rican tie-ins there, the flip-flops, which can also be used as a weapon. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of the 40. They made him the Boricua. Even the Guevara stuff was good. This was good.
Jericho questioned where Jake Hagar was, and Hagar arrived kind of coming through the back, and he had a goat with him, which was apparently named Chris Jerigoat.
It should be named Chris Jericho.
It's like when you think it can't get better, it does. But Jericho then questioned what was in the giant gift in the ring. They opened the box, and it was Chris Jericho's father, the famous New York Rangers hockey player. Ted Irvine said he was happy to be back in New York City, and he, of course, got booed because Chris had to inform him that they were in Chicago. The fans cheered for the Blackhawks. Ted buried the team, buried Bobby Hall, said the Blackhawks were always wimps, and then he gave custom jerseys to the Inner Circle. Jericho said Le Champion, Sammy said Spanish God, the Santana and Ortiz said like Ruffian and Hoodlum. I mean, it was good.
It had their nicknames from the Jericho parody video. So, they looked like some cheap ass New York Rangers jerseys. Though I figured Irvine could get him some authentic stuff there.
Well, maybe Ted was going cheap because Jericho isn't sharing all that merch money with him.
I guess, but the Ted Irvine stuff was good. And I'm always like bury the Blackhawks. I'm fine with that.
Exactly.
My favorite hockey team is a rivalry with them. So yeah, bury him.
So, Jericho had a official statement from TNT and the AEW officials. Brought Justin Roberts in the ring, who's local to the Chicago area. They played that up. Roberts read the big thank you statement, which put over Jericho, his work as a champion and all that stuff. But Jericho did not appreciate how Roberts read the message, slapped him. The Inner Circle beat the shit out of him. And Excalibur on commentary blurts out, "Who beats up somebody in their hometown?" Which I laughed at. The marching band then made the save, and it was revealed that it was SCU in disguise, and they stood tall. The first time AEW opened with an interview segment, it was hilarious and ridiculous and over the top in all the right ways, and it added to the build for Jericho versus Sky later in the night.
I liked the majority of it. I will say it got a little long with the Justin Roberts beatdown, and you could clearly see Jericho looking up at the top of the ramp, waiting for SCU to come down. So I don't know if it was a miscue or what it was, but that part was very telegraphed. How do you beat up Justin Roberts and don't choke him with the tie?
Yeah, I was waiting for them to do that.
They took the tie off. We all saw it. They didn't, we saw him take the tie off. They could have even held it up and mimicked something. We know it's a WWE callback, but they do plenty of WWE callbacks. Jericho referenced especially Jericho, the We the People reference. Last week was a reference with him and Owens with the Roman Reigns stuff, the same time deal. This week was very Festival of Friendship vibes. Jericho does these references. So how do you not do the Justin Roberts tie reference here?
Yeah, I was waiting for it. It just, it did not happen. I don't know why they didn't do it. I don't really care either way, but I figured they were going to do it because it looked like it. But, so we were going to the ring for our first match, which was Best Friends and Lucha Bros. Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends were heading to the ring. The Lucha Brothers attacked them in the entrance. They all fought. Orange Cassidy, in a turkey outfit, hit a high cross on the top to wipe them out, which led to Jim Ross referencing WKRP in Cincinnati in the famous turkey episode, and Excalibur asked if they were going for that coveted over 50 demo.
I don't know why Jim Ross referenced this. I don't know. This was either really good thinking on his feet by Excalibur, or they planned it, in which case, cool. It's a good back and forth line to plan. I'm willing to bet it was more Jim Ross trying to make an obscure reference that no one got, and Excalibur bailed him out with a timely reference that wrestling fans did get.
Yeah, I did laugh at the over 50 demo jab. That was funny. So Justin Roberts was dead for the rest of the night, so the superfine Dasha Gonzalez replaced him on ring announcing for the rest of the evening. A small detail I appreciated, because the ring announcer is not a wrestler. If he gets his ass beat, he shouldn't be back the rest of the night.
WWE does that. Dio Madden's been out 15 weeks.
That's what I was going to say. Dio got F5 through an announce table, and he's officially dead, I think.
Dio was at least a wrestler. He was
Yeah.
wrestling NXT matches like a month ago, and then now all of a sudden went F5 through a table, and we don't know if this man is still alive.
I hope he has a good Thanksgiving if he's still around.
Yeah.
So anyway, the best friends. This was set up from AEW Dark, where Trent beat Pentagon. The best friends ended up beating the Lucha Bros as Trent hit the Dude Buster on Phoenix for the win. Went 8 minutes via pin. I thought it was a good opening match. Trent picking up another big win. There's been rumors that they may do some singles stuff with him and the Lucha Bros, and maybe transition best friends to more of Chuck and Orange Cassidy. Which, again, I think we both agree. We've talked about it several times. Lucha Bros have much more. I mean, they're a great tag team, but I think they both have much more upside as singles. And this is also setting up Trent versus Phoenix in a singles for next week. So your thoughts, sir?
Yeah. I thought it was good. It was a little clunky at first, and I blame the Lucha Bros wrestling
In their sweatshirts?
yeah, in their hoodies. Tough to wrestle in a hoodie, I would imagine. So a little clunky.
Naito did it for a whole ROH tour, man.
Yeah, because Naito didn't give a fuck, I'm sure. Naito's like, yeah, y'all ain't paying me enough to shed. I don't know if he got paid, honestly. It's like, y'all ain't paying me enough. Y'all didn't arrange my travel or nothing. So this is what you're getting. You're getting hoodie Naito. Yeah, little clunky. Pentagon is still a goof getting distracted, and then he gets hit with the senton or the cannonball by Chucky T. Best friends winning, definitely a surprise. The Lucha Bros were number one in the rankings. It was a bad night to be number one, as we kind of found out throughout the night. But yeah, definitely a surprise, and they're doing something with the best friends. That private party win was big, and now they follow that up here, so we'll see where it goes with them. My one complaint, and this is kind of what we talked about last week with Proud and Powerful losing to Private Party, and we've seen Pac take some losses. These records are going to start looking just very 500 for everybody, and when you're going to display the records like that, I don't know if that's really what you want to kind of come across.
Yeah, like we talked again, we kind of harped on it last week. I have some problems with how they're doing some of the wins, and I know there's people out there that are like, whoa, it's like real sports, and sometimes there's parity, and sometimes there's upsets, and yeah, that's fine, but you also still need to be building up stars.
In real sports, you still have dominant teams. And
look at the NFC. Like there's like 6 teams at like 9-1 or like 9-2 or some shit. Yeah, there's dominant teams, and there needs to be dominant guys and stars.
So in that case, like, do more squash matches. We'll get to it in a bit, but like, did you need to do a Moxley and Pac rematch right here, and then just give not Moxley and Pac, Omega and Pac rematch, and then you just give Omega his win back? The same complaint I had with Hangman and Pac. Yep. Like, did you need to do that immediately just to give Pac his win back? Like, why couldn't Pac just stay undefeated? So yeah, this record thing might be an issue. I know they reset in January, which that doesn't really give us a ton of time to figure it out, but next season, or at the beginning of January, it's might be a little bit of an issue when we start seeing everybody with 500 records.
Yeah, so again, it's you have to be careful how you do it, and sometimes upsets are great, but again, they have to be done at the right time with the right people. Moved on, we had women's tag team action. B. Priestley and Emmy.
Wait, real quickly. Oh, I mean, I didn't mean to sound mean on that.
It's all right.
I don't know why they put this Marco Martinez guy on commentary, but oh my God, was that just the most second-rate bullshit. This guy, no offense to him, sure he's a nice guy. He added nothing. He was terrible. It was worse than Alex Marvez. Think about that, everybody.
That's pretty bad.
Worse than Alex Marvez.
Yeah, Tony Khan needs to hit up his dad for an allowance raise and buy out whatever contract Tony Schiavone's working on for his real sports stuff, so Tony never has to leave again.
Or just, don't throw this guy out there. Like
Yeah.
it didn't, like, he's part of the elite fleet, whatever the hell that is. Like, what does he add? He clearly added nothing, but it just felt so low rent.
He may have
And
added less than nothing, actually.
yeah, he detracted from things because it was like, oh, this guy's still out here. Like, it just came across so low rent. Don't do that. If it's a wrestler out there who, like Britt Baker when she was out there, like, she wasn't great, but okay, she's one of the faces of the company. If you're gonna put a wrestler out there, fine. You don't need to shoehorn some elite fleet guy on commentary and it just completely detract and make you come across
Should have
as
fucking
just
threw Tully out there.
sure, anybody or nobody, anybody else or nobody. This was just, ooh, it was rough, and I felt bad for the guy because he clearly didn't know what he was doing. But this is on AEW. Don't put this guy out there.
Definitely, I agree. I didn't think much of it. I didn't like it, but I was just not thinking of it when we were going through that. So good point to bring up. Glad you did.
He was unmemorable, so I can see why you wouldn't think about it. But he deserved to be mentioned, even if he was unmemorable.
Yes. Okay, so now we move on to women's tag team action. Bea Priestley and Emi Sakura defeated Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander 9.5 minutes via pin. Started a little slow. I thought it ended up good. Emi Sakura picked up a nice win. I thought Bea Priestley looked better than she had in her previous performances. And I thought they gave a lot of shine to Chris Statlander, who is someone a lot of places are trying to sign these days.
My issue with this match is it was good. I like it was enjoyable. Once again, the number one person loses. I realize she didn't take a pinfall, but now that's on her record that she has that loss. But my issue is, why are these people teaming? Why are they fighting? I had no reason to care about this match. The women's division it's a mess. It's a complete mess right now. And this match was a highlight of that, of why are they competing? Why are they, what's the purpose of this match? There's no women's tag division, so what's the purpose of this match? We don't know why they were teaming with each other. It was tough for me to get into despite them working hard.
But you're not allowed to say that, Jeremy, because they've only been on TV for 9 weeks. Listen, I know it is only 9 weeks, but the women's division has been something we've talked about, I kind of feel, since the summer when they were doing stuff. I mean, there are some bright spots. Obviously, Riho is really good. They've done some okay work with some people, but it's nowhere near consistent enough. And I think the best point you bring up is that why should anybody in the crowd have cared about it? And that's the problem, which is why they had to work really hard to get the crowd into it. And it was good, but, it's like, God bless Kenny and all, and I know this is his baby and he wants to do good things with it, but you need to do more than throw one segment on the show. On Dark, they had a Big Swole Shauna match, and they actually gave, like, Shauna a personality profile video package, and they gave Big Swole an interview. Fucking crazy, right? Holy shit.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's just, they need to do that more because, as we've brought up, it's lovely that they do that on AEW Dark, but that not everybody that watches this show watches AEW Dark. Not everybody wants to invest a third hour so that they can understand what's going on in certain things. AEW Dark is designed for diehard fans and people like me that review all the shows. It's not designed for your casual fan. And obviously the casual fan likely doesn't really know about it because they almost never mention it on TV. So how do you even get them to watch the fucking show to make them understand some of this other stuff? Not that it's doing a lot for the women, but it's like, you can't count on people watching your YouTube show. You just can't.
No, you can't count on people watching the YouTube show. Excalibur made a reference to being the elite later on in the show, and okay, like this was I've talked about it before, is they want you to watch this, and it's like, oh, you got to watch this show to make it feel like you're caught up and you're not missing anything. Like, you've got to watch Being the Elite, you've got to watch Dark, you've got to watch the 2 hours of Dynamite. It's like, okay, people don't have time for that stuff. I watch it, you watch it, but a lot of people don't have time to watch that stuff. And obviously your biggest audience is coming on Dynamite. So put this stuff on Dynamite. It's the same thing I yell at the WWE. Don't give me these WWE backstage.com exclusive. Like, put this stuff on television. These are good interviews. These are good ways to get personalities over. Put that on TV, not on YouTube and stuff. They just threw these women out there with no reasoning and just to give them a segment. What's more is, B. Priestley gets her hair cut by Awesome Kong, and I don't think that was referenced once on this show during her match. It's like, hey, last time we saw B. Priestley, she lost to Britt Baker, and then Awesome Kong came out and took a lock of her hair. Remember Awesome Kong? Yeah, like, remember this? And it wasn't referenced once. The women's division is it's a mess. Let's call it what is it. Well, let's call it what it is. It's not good. There's no character build. There's no reason to care about these women because we don't know half of them, and then they're just thrown out there in cold matches. Riho got over like this. They did this with Riho. It's just Riho got over
in spite of the booking.
Yes, exactly. Nyla Rose hasn't been seen on the main show since losing. Remember her? She challenged for the title. She was in the first ever women's title match. Hasn't been seen on Dynamite since. It's or maybe did she have a squash match on Dynamite? Was that
on
last
Dark.
week?
Or she had one on Dark
I thought it was
recently.
Yeah, I knew she had one on Dark. For some reason, I thought they may have thrown her one on Dynamite, but
I can't remember.
The women's division isn't good. It's really not, and it's unfortunate because they have talented women.
Yep.
But I hope they sign Chris Statlander. I hope the Big Swole is a regular and everything. Kenny says wait until 2020. Why? Why should we have to wait until 2020? You've had all this time to plan this. Show me something.
Yeah, it would be nice if they did. So we got a quick Jon Moxley promo talking about making his way to the top. He's basically the baddest motherfucker. Wonder if somebody else is crazy enough to come after him and try to be a hero. And if they do, he promises he's going to hurt them. So
I'm all for Johnny Moxley wishing or threatening death and threatening murder with napalm.
That's right. So then we had a quick squash match. Cody defeated Matt Nix in a minute and a half via submission. A fine little rebound squash for Cody, which, good to see him back on the show. He tried to call out MJF after the match, and let me tell you, if you would have asked me about Axe debuting for AEW Wrestling, I would have lost if you would have told me the Butcher and the Blade from Beyond Wrestling and Smash Wrestling would be making an appearance on national TV. Never saw that coming. They arrived, they beat the shit out of Cody, and then from out underneath the ring, and talk about no character development, Dark Alley is a heel arrived and apparently is going to manage them. I guess Awesome Kong beating the shit out of her and cutting her hair sent her to the dark side, Jeremy.
I guess. I mean, it is very weird to just see Alley out there, and now she's a bunny with no explanation. Maybe they'll have an explanation. I'd assume they've put some type of thought into this, so maybe they will have an explanation. Hopefully they will have an explanation.
Yeah, it's like
the worst part of
it's not like I hate it, because I do think she is a bit better as the dark character, but it's just like there was obviously no setup. Like, Awesome Kong beat shit out of her and cut her hair. It would have been lovely last week if they tried to interview her or something and she blew off the interviewer. Just give me something that's she's on edge. And yeah, and then
or wait until Easter to do this.
And then I appreciate that we're debuting new talents. But even Chicago, which is a really smart wrestling town, did not really know who these guys were, and it came off really cold.
Yeah, Chicago didn't know who they were. Jim Ross didn't know who they were. And when Excalibur attempted to explain, Ross would just cut him off anyway. And worst, Excalibur, I thought actually made this worse, is he's yelling like, "That's the Blade, that's the Butcher." Like, we're supposed to know who the fuck these people are. Like, I don't know. Who is the Blade? Who is the Butcher? Like, who are these people? Excalibur's screaming at me that, I'm supposed to actually know these people. That's the Wall, brother. Like, okay, who the fuck are these guys?
They're the Butcher and the Blade, for fuck's sake, Jeremy, okay? I know.
Yes, like, yeah, I know them from Beyond Wrestling. Like, I get that, but how many people are watching Beyond Wrestling? I think they're a great promotion, but truthfully, how many people are watching that show?
Judging by the crowd reaction, I'm not trying to be a dick, not many.
Yeah, so just it was very, very cold. And then Cody, I don't know if you saw it, Cody was on Twitter afterwards, and he used the BBB, the Better Business Bureau. He used the Conor McGregor, "Who the fuck is that guy?" quote. Like, even Cody doesn't know who the hell these people are.
Yeah.
Where's Cody's friends? Letting him get jumped for the second week in a row.
I don't know, man. They were his friends were okay to save Dustin later, but not him.
Yeah, Dustin was there. Where was his brother? His brother can't come out and help him.
Listen, hey,
being beat down.
Listen, in Dustin's defense, he's an older gentleman. Maybe he was in the bathroom.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. No, seriously. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you gotta wonder. It's like,
then?
Where the hell were your friends? Because like, they were doing a really good job early on because it was like, hey, the baby faces have friends. That's great. And all of a sudden, it's like this week, it's like, well, we're in catering. There's some delicious Cracker Barrel here this week, and we're kind of busy. Yeah. Code, with little biscuit and apple butter in the back. So, yeah, it was. But yeah, unfortunately, it came off really cold. I'm all for them debuting new guys and trying to make stars that have never been on TV before, but going to be an uphill battle after the very cold debut here.
Yeah, and again, maybe they have something. They saved the Dark Order stuff in the last 2 weeks after a very cold debut, so maybe they can turn this around, but not a great start.
Next up, Kenny Omega defeated the Bastard Pack 12 minutes via pin. First, I thought it was a very good match, but I am not a fan of Kenny getting his win back already, and it kind of reinforces the thought that you and I talked about previously and beat into the ground probably, that Pac shouldn't have lost to Page only to get his win back. Because had he not lost, Kenny finally beating him, I think, would have meant much more, because Pac wouldn't have had that loss on his record. I'm sure we'll get a third match down the line. I'm sure it'll be really good again, maybe even great. But I wouldn't have given Kenny the win over Pac now. I would have waited a little bit. But I think they're kind of... I get the feeling that they're kind of panic booking with Kenny now, because they were trying to tell a story with him. They didn't tell it that well, other than he's losing. And now they're like, oh, people are kind of upset because Kenny's losing and not doing anything cool, so we better give him a win, which I didn't like. I think there was a lot more to do with Pac, and should have came later on. And if you were telling a better story, Kenny winning later would have played better.
This has been, I've said this many times, they're all over the place with who Kenny Omega is. And this is when, if you're going to tell me to watch Being the Elite, okay, Kenny Omega is a completely different guy on Being the Elite than he is on Dynamite and Dark. So, which Kenny Omega am I supposed to take here? Kenny Omega it seems like he's just a different character every single week. And it's tough to get into that. I like that he's showing some diversity, but at the same time, you gotta give me, we'll see where it plays out, I guess. But right now, it's a little rough. And yeah, I spoke about it earlier. Beating Pac. I don't like it. Like, have some dominant guys up there at the top of the rankings. Guys don't have to. It doesn't have to be this 500 booking. Like Omega, you didn't have to do this match. There was no rhyme or reason for you to need to do this match. Could have given Pac a win over somebody who got like a win last week. I can't remember 2 days ago, much less last week's show. You can get Omega a rebound win after the Moxley loss that didn't actually count. So you didn't need to do this match, and it felt. It was good, but at the same time, it was like, all right, we're just kind of putting this match on television because we want to just get Omega his win back. Like, it didn't feel necessary.
Yeah, and I wish they would have. I wish they would have given Kenny a match with somebody else because, again, I thought there was more to do with Pac as well. But that goes back to just like, yeah, you can't tell people to watch Being the Elite because, again, you're asking them to invest another 20 minutes. And you just can't, hey, watch fucking YouTube, please. And like you said, Kenny showed a lot of diversity, which I do think is good. But while he's showing diversity, there's also, and we've talked about this especially, there's just no consistency to his AEW character. So,
is he still mad at New Japan and Kota Ibushi for leaving him? And everybody's still gonna leave him. Remember that fucking thing that played before the match? Like, it's all over the place. Yeah. It's all over the place for me.
So they officially announced Trent versus Phoenix for next week. We got inset promos from Adam Page and MJF, which led to the Dynamite Dozen Finals, where MJF defeated Adam Page in just under 7 minutes via pin, Jeremy.
This match did not feel important at all. It was too short to be anything meaningful. MJF's Crossroads, just rough.
Sloppy as shit.
Really rough. Really, really rough looking. And I get what they're going for. He's a dick. He stole the guy's finisher. But he did it so poorly that that's what people are going to remember, not the fact that he's a dick and stole his finisher. And again, it went 7 minutes. It didn't feel important. I didn't feel like, oh, these guys are fighting over something that's really important. This Dynamite Diamond Ring is something you want to win. And as we saw in the follow-up, it's already meaningless. So, talk about the follow-up, and I'll give my thoughts on that. The match wasn't, it wasn't good.
It was solid. It was just kind of there. MJF winning is obviously the right call. He did come off like a slimy piece of shit, but yeah, the Crossroads was really sloppy and just, eesh. DDP arrived to present the Diamond Ring after the match. They had some interaction. He congratulated MJF, offered him a handshake. MJF gave him the ring back. Wardlow bowed up the DDP. They were going to fight. Security arrived with refs to break it up, and it was there. As you said, it didn't make it feel important.
No, because he gives the ring back. So you build up all of this. Like, MJF would have been... Okay, I guess it's a heel move to give the ring back. It's a bigger heel move to rub this ring in everybody's faces and just be a complete dick about it and be like, yeah, I beat 11 other men to get this ring. Now, I'm rich, I'm better than you, all the stuff he already does. Instead, it's just keep your stupid ring. I don't care about it. Okay, that doesn't make you a heel. It just makes the ring feel not important, and you just spent 2 weeks trying to build this thing up. And then the post-match with them just getting to a shoving contest, that doesn't make me feel like these guys are scary. Let me grab you, and then security breaks you up. I just saw Wardlow beat up a bunch of dudes on the street for trying to come after his girlfriend or something. Why isn't he beating the shit out of these security guards and then laying out Diamond Dallas Page? I didn't like anything about this segment.
Yeah, it was one of those things that kind of existed. Dustin Rhodes came out for a promo. He was going to get revenge on Jake Hagar. Knows Hagar's a changed man. The Inner Circle minus Hagar arrived and attacked. They swarmed Dustin, beat the shit out of him. The Young Bucks made the save. The babyfaces hit a triple Shattered Dreams. They stood tall, and that is going to set up the Young Bucks and Dustin versus Santana Ortiz and the Spanish God Sammy Guevara next week on the show.
Yeah, it felt a little rushed, but it made sense. It sets up something for next week. It does, again, come to my point of where were these guys when Cody was getting his ass kicked, but what can you do? I do like that, because Cody did get his ass kicked, he wasn't there to help DDP and he wasn't there to help his brother, and so the Young Bucks had to come out and security had to come out. I do like that point, but again, where were these guys for Cody? It was short, but it accomplished what it needed to accomplish.
Let me throw this point out. Maybe we're underestimating the fact that MJF is right and Cody is a dick, and maybe nobody likes him. That's why he got his ass beat.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know why nobody came to help Cody. It's just like, all I could think was like, maybe just nobody fucking likes him.
Yeah, I can buy this theory. It's a long-term play that, it doesn't seem truthful today, but maybe it is truthful. So I can buy this.
So we got another Dark Order propaganda video / infomercial.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I know
another
you're
good
excited.
Follow-up. Another good follow-up. I like that.
Yeah. They're good. Those are fun. And again, it's something they definitely needed to do, and hopefully it will help them. And that led to our main event of the evening, Jeremy. Le Champion Chris Jericho defeating Scorpio Sky 12-20 via submission to retain the AEW Championship. I thought they had a good main event. They created nothing great, but fine drama down the stretch. Never really kicked into a super high gear. I thought it was good for a TV title defense. Jericho ends up winning. They teased Hagar coming down to help. All the seconds were supposed to be banned from ringside, but SCU came out and took both of them, but they fought them off to the back. So that was good. We didn't get a bunch of bullshit. And, Sky got his chance to run wild. He had a TKO and a bunch of things. But in the end, he went for he basically went for a run up the ropes high cross, and he flew into a code breaker, which looked really good. He was able to counter the Judas effect into a cradle, which got a good near fall. But Jericho ended up getting the walls of Jericho. Sky tapped. He is still Le Champion, Jeremy. And then post-match, Jericho was attacking him again as Big John Moxley arrived through the crowd. They had the long-distance stare down, and looks like they're officially starting the tease for Moxley and Jericho.
On the match, I love Scorpio Sky. I think he's great. I thought he really got some good shine in this match, so I was happy to see that. Jericho, he is what he is at this point. It's not a knock. It's father time. He does well to hide a lot of that stuff in these matches the best he can. But in these kind of short TV matches where, no offense, it is a television match, he's not going to get super up for it. He goes through the motions a little bit, and he doesn't have a reason to kick it up. He can get by because he is Chris Jericho, and that's what he did here. And Scorpio Sky was able to fill in a lot of gaps. So I thought Scorpio Sky had a really good performance. 2 complaints about this match. First, if you're going to say these people are banned from ringside, don't have them come out. Because, we had 3 people come out. And okay, they didn't directly interfere in this match, but they were supposed to be banned from ringside. I get if Hager comes out, then SCU can come out and attack him, but no one should be coming out. I hope this is followed up on, and tomorrow they announced, maybe not tomorrow, it's Thanksgiving. Friday they announced, Hagar, Daniels, and Kazarian have been fined or they've been suspended. I don't know what you're suspending them from, but they've been fined because they were supposed to be banned from ringside and they came out. If they do that, I'll be a little bit more forgivable for this. Bigger issue, where was the small package? We talked about it last week that, they're going to do this small package. And it's going to be huge because he won the tag titles with a small package and he beat Jericho with the small package. So this is a spot that they've built as a finisher over important people. And when he does it, the crowd is going to be like, oh, he's got him in the small pack. Like that should have been sold the entire match of, oh, his small package. And they didn't do it. He did a backslide, which, okay, that's a quick pin, but the small package is what you've been building to, and they didn't do it here. And that is such an easy point to hit. And whoever put this together, I just don't understand how you missed that.
Honestly, I think a lot of it kind of lands on Jericho because he has a lot of control in his match layout, and I was honestly shocked that they didn't do it because you would think that that's like the big thing that Jericho would be like, we have to do this 11 minutes in. We have to do this and get that pop. And you go back and you think about it, it's like, I just don't know why they didn't. Maybe they just, for some reason, they overlooked it. I don't know how you overlooked that, but they did.
It's on Jericho. It's on all of them. Like, Jericho should know. Scorpio Sky should know and be like, hey, I've used this twice. We've got to have this tease. The agent, whoever it is, Malenko, Anderson, Tony Khan, Cody, like whoever is back there, and they, they don't just, they call some of it on the fly, I'm sure, but they don't go out there. They got to run through the match with somebody backstage, I would imagine. Even if you're not, like, if I'm anybody backstage, one of the agents or one of the executive vice presidents, I'm specifically saying, like, hey, you got that small package spot in there, right? Like, we've been teasing this for 2 weeks now. We put this move over in 2 big main event matches. You got that spot in there, right? And like, it shouldn't be a question. It should just be in there. It might seem minor, but when you're AEW and you talk up all these points that, oh, we're going to have consistency, we're going to have stuff that makes sense, like this is stuff that stands out.
Yeah. I just, you would, like you said, with everybody back there, you would think somebody would have made sure it happened, and I have no clue why it didn't.
I like the Jericho, I like the Jericho Moxley stuff. Looking forward to that match. Moxley, these are your two of your 3 biggest stars, with Cody being the other one. So why wouldn't you put 2 of your 3 biggest stars in the main event match? I don't know if they're going to wait all the way until the next pay-per-view, whenever that is. They haven't even announced it yet, so I would assume it's not until like February.
Last I heard, it's February.
Yeah, so that's going to be a little ways away to do this match, but I'm fine with a 3-month build on this match because make it feel special, but then you also run the risk of cooling it off a little bit because it feels big right now, and you don't want it to be cold by the time you get to it.
Yeah, we'll see how they build to that, but definitely kind of excited for that match because I think there's a lot of potential there. So we will move on to NXT, Jeremy. And we started off with Josiah Williams hyping up the crowd and how NXT beat Raw and SmackDown Survivor Series. The roster came up behind him. He did a little rap gimmick to the ring. Full Sail seemed very happy until Undisputed Era arrives. Adam Cole ran them all down for celebrating as if they actually accomplished something. Said the Undisputed Era was the only reason NXT was successful and that nobody around the ring did anything. Said they should be thanked for being their champions. They dominated all week as the Iron Men of the brand. Ciampa interrupted. Said they're strangely confident for a group of guys that got their asses kicked at War Games. War Games was the beginning of the end for the Undisputed Era. They're going to crumble. It's already started, and it's going to continue when Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic win the tag titles tonight. The war is over, so Daddy is coming for Goldie once again, which led to Finn Balor arriving. He walked past Undisputed Era and said he's going to stand in Ciampa's way of coming for the title. Ciampa wants everybody to watch because the Prince has just met his king. He challenged him for tonight, but Keith Lee said first that That match can go down later because it's tag title time, Jeremy. What'd you think of the opening?
I like the big like rap celebration. That was cool for Josiah. He does a lot of work behind the scenes and stuff, and seems really well liked by a lot of the guys. So I thought that was cool. It worked because NXT does have that kind of underground cult vibe. So them winning at Survivor Series, it's like, hey, let's throw this big celebration with Full Sail. That's you can't do that for Raw or SmackDown. You can't have Seth Rollins come out there and lead a rap party or Roman Reigns do all this. But it works for NXT. So I like that. The stuff with Ciampa and Lee and Dijakovic and the Undisputed Era guys, all of that was great as well. So a strong opening segment, I thought.
Very good. We moved on to the tag team title match, which was our first match on the show. Undisputed Era retained the titles, defeating Lee and Dijakovic just over 20 minutes via pin. A couple things before we get into like the match quality and stuff. Lee and Dijakovic largely ran wild early. Keith Lee press slammed Bobby Fish to the floor onto Kyle O'Reilly, which led to, after a break, Roderick Strong having to replace Bobby Fish. The rumor was that they thought he got knocked loopy, so they took him backstage. They were fearing he had a concussion. So Roddy Strong tagged in. Obviously, Roddy's really good, so it did not hurt the match. The best part of this entire fucking match was they're going back and forth. Undisputed Era's making the comeback, and then Dijakovic cuts them off with a double chokeslam. Adam Cole decides, I'm going to come down to the ring and help my buddies out. And if you go to my review, there is a GIF in there. It is one of the greatest GIFs of all time, because Adam Cole is running to the ring. He's jogging down the ramp. And as he jogs down the ramp, Keith Lee fucking pounces him into the ether. Into the crowd. He's dead, Jim. It was fantastic. That led to Dijakovic. He was obviously amazed by this feat of destruction. And then Undisputed Era hit the high-low on him and pinned him. So, I thought it was a really good tag match. First of all, Roderick Strong is such a fucking pro. This dude joins in the match. He's working in his jeans and sneakers. Didn't miss a goddamn beat. All four guys honestly should get a ton of credit because they had to adjust to that change. Again, Roddy's good, but he wasn't supposed to be in the match, so maybe he doesn't know everything that's laid out. But he didn't miss anything. Everybody did really well. I think my only complaint about this is I get why they booked this coming out of War Games, but at the same time, it kind of feels like they already killed Lee and Dijakovic's momentum.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought this would have been a good time to put the titles on Lee and Dijakovic coming out of War Games. I understand, again, why you don't do that, but in that case, don't book that match. I didn't. It was a good match. It's tough to have a bad match with these four guys. It was clear that Roderick Strong was not supposed to be in this match. I think his gear gave that away, but there were very obvious instances where Strong and O'Reilly were kind of huddled up, whether on the floor or in the ring, clearly like trying to communicate with each other on what they were going to do. And it showed. Roddy was not, peak Roderick Strong in this match, and that's not because he's not good. It's because he was literally thrown into the middle of it and had no idea what was, supposed to happen, what the other guys had laid out. So he was a little off in that sense, but they hit it well for the most part. They still got through the match, and it was still a really good match. The Keith Lee pounce, that was all anybody was talking about on my timeline afterwards, and for good reason. It was fantastic. The bump Adam Cole took on it. I guess, I said, don't wrestle until 2020. He's like, okay, fine. I'm not going to wrestle, but I'm going to take this fucking insane bump right here. It's just, oh my God. Yeah, that great bump by Cole. Dijakovic being like, holy shit, and then losing. Even Keith Lee, he was like looking around like, wait, did I just murder this man on live television? This was, I like the ending. It was all right, Keith Lee could have maybe gotten in the ring and broken things up a little bit. But overall, this was a good match, and they made the most of it out of Fish's unfortunate injury. And it sounds like he's okay, which is good because that dude has had some rough times in NXT, and when he's healthy, he's great. So, and good on WWE NXT for taking the precautions of like, all right, we think he's a little loopy, let's get him out of here instead of trying to get him to work through this match and really check on it. Let's just get him out of here. We can, fortunately, you can put Roddy Strong in there. They also had Adam Cole. They had a replacement right then and there, and even if Roderick Strong had to wrestle in his Calvin Klein's.
Yeah, I did like the finish though, because it was a very like Undisputed Era got lucky in several ways finish. Because, like, they watched Adam Cole die, Bobby Fish got taken out, but they were able to rebound at the end. But, yeah, I didn't like that they already kind of cut off Leon Dijakovic. I was like, I really enjoyed the match, and I thought, again, everybody did really good considering the situation, because that could have ended up a disaster, It could have fallen apart really quick, but everybody in that match was really good, and just hope Bobby Fish is okay. He's Bobby Fish isn't getting any younger, and my man's been dinged up a lot in the last year, so hopefully he is okay.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. They followed up a video of Dakota Kai's attack on Tegan Nox at TakeOver. Kathy Kelly interviewed Candice LeRae about it. She said Dakota is all she's heard about since TakeOver. She was a friend to both her and Tegan, but she's appalled at what Dakota did and can't believe that she did it. Tonight, Dakota isn't going to be facing her friend. She's going to be facing Tegan's pissed off big sister. So that was the setup for Dakota Kai and Candice LeRae later tonight. Got a video.
The one thing I didn't. When did Candice and Tegan become sisters?
Well, they tried later on during the match to talk about it on commentary about how all three of them like always hang out and ride together. But maybe a video package before the interview would have done that a little better.
Yeah, it's just I don't know when they became sisters, so very, very strange to me.
Well, maybe you should go to Orlando investigate and do the Legend of the Trio of the Friendship like you did Soul Train Jones.
I guess.
So, no, I don't know, man. It's just, like I said, they tried to explain it later, but again, a video package before the interview probably would have done a better job. So we got a video of Angel Garza disrobing in front of Leo Rush's family 2 weeks ago. TakeOver, Leo attacked Garza after his match to get a little revenge, and they announced Leo's match versus Akira Tozawa tonight. We headed to the ring and we got Mansoor defeating Shane Thorne at 3 minutes. I thought it was a nice little win for Mansoor, and honestly, it's nice to see they haven't forgotten him after the Saudi show.
Yeah, definitely. I like that they followed up because I don't know if it was a missed opportunity. It was just a weird thing when he won that big battle royal earlier this year and then was never on television. So it's like,
no. The worst part was when after he won the battle royal thing, he appeared on NXT once and NXT UK once and did like 3-minute jobs.
Right.
So it's like they absolutely failed after that first one.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, you're just giving these guys wins because this guy a win because it's Saudi. And like we saw that, but don't try not to be so blatant about it. Like the guy just beat Cesaro. That was a singles match. He should be on television and he should be winning matches. Like I think, he just beat Cesaro. Make that matter. You know what I mean? So exactly. I'm glad he was on television here. I'm glad he got the win. I think he wrestled like Brian Kendrick the other week as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I like that they're seemingly trying to do something with him because I like Mansoor. I know there's some type of heat on him for past online stuff, but he's a video game streaming guy and he shows a lot of charisma in those video game streams and he comes off really well.
Yeah, he shows a lot of potential too because even in his enhancement matches, I thought he showed potential, and then obviously The match with Cesaro was easily the best thing on that Bad Saudi show. And I'm sorry, you people cannot convince me that that show was any fucking good. Because it wasn't. But he was the best thing on that show. And it's, Cesaro can carry anybody to a good match, but they had a really good match. And again, Mansoor showed a lot there. And again, this was a short match. He looked good here. Again, nice win. Another win for him. And I'm glad he's not being forgotten. Because you can do something with this guy. You don't have to push him to the top or anything, but you can do things with him. He can become a viable part of the TV show. So, that was good. Dakota Kai arrived for her match, carrying Tegan Nox's knee brace with her. Because she's evil now, and she has new evil theme music.
Awesome.
Well. Yeah, I like that she was carrying that around like a trophy. That's good. So, Candice and her had a match, 12 and a half minutes. Candice won it via disqualification after 12 and a half minutes when she was going for a dive, and Dakota was in desperation and hit her with the knee brace for the disqualification. Post-match, she beat the shit out of Candice. Rhea ended up making the save. First of all, good fallout coming out of War Games because you need to follow up on that heel turn, and obviously you can't go right to her and Tegan in week 1 because number 1, Tegan is supposed to be injured. Number 2, you have to build to that match. Number 3, it makes sense for Dakota Kai to have to face off with Candice LeRae and then Mia Yim, who she likely took out and stuff like that first. I enjoyed the match. I thought it was good. I thought Dakota did really well in her first match as a heel. I thought she showed some good character layers and depth there. Did not mind the DQ in this instance because you're trying to protect Candice and not kill all of her momentum coming out of War Games. And obviously Dakota is not going to be losing her first match as a heel. And it gives her a little bit of edge because she's basically a bitch that snapped and she doesn't care anymore.
Yeah, I liked everything about this, honestly. The match the work was good until the DQ finish, and you can get away with a DQ finish here. People will complain of, oh, why'd you book this match so quickly? Like, you can't just have Dakota Kai come out here and wrestle Tainara Conti or something. Like, okay, sure, that gets her a heel victory and a win, but these baby faces should be fucking pissed off. Like Candice should be mad. Mia, obviously, she can't. Like, she's not wrestling. Tegan's not wrestling. Like, why wouldn't Candice be super pissed off at Dakota for doing this turn and want to immediately wrestle her? So I think it worked in that sense, and this was a good piece of business. The NXT Women's Division is strong, and the biggest star on the show came out after this.
Yeah. So we got Kathy Kelly, interviewing. I was looking at a New Japan thing, sorry. Kathy Kelly interviewing Tommaso Ciampa about his match with Balor. Puts over Balor's success in NXT, but says that he is the one who made NXT into the A show and also made Goldie into the top championship in the industry. So, good little promo by Ciampa, short and sweet. Got a Cameron Grimes video package. And then we got a video package.
The GOAT, Cameron Grimes.
There you go. We got a video package of Rhea Ripley's last week, which, as we talked about after Survivor Series, really cemented her with a star with the win over Charlotte, the win at War Games, and the win at Survivor Series. Excuse me. Next up, Cruiserweight Champion Lio Rush defeating Akira Tozawa, 13 minutes. Jeremy via pin. Your thoughts?
Great match. Really strong match. These two have strong chemistry together. Everything they do looks really crisp. Some of the spots, like the double big boot spot, I guess the double kick spot, whatever you want to call it, like that was awesome. The German suplex spot. There was just so much good stuff in this match, and Lio Rush winning, not a surprise. But yeah, Akira Tozawa can come back. I thought the brand stuff was over, but then you got a Raw guy. I saw somebody suggest that, maybe it's just because the Cruiserweight title is on NXT. Like, if you're under 205, you can just go to NXT and challenge them. It doesn't matter for your brand. And I'm cool with that. Just mention that on television.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they did. I liked the match. Thought it was really good. Leo retaining, like you said, not a surprise. And Tozawa gets to show that he's really good still when he's actually given the chance to prove it. Like him a lot.
Yeah.
Xia Li starched Vanessa Bourne in 1 minute and 5 seconds with a head kick. Vanessa Bourne was going she was going for revenge for Aaliyah, and she failed spectacularly. This led to a big post-match angle where Shayna and her flunkies came out. Xia Li tried to fight him off. She got beat down, which led to Rhea Ripley coming out. Shayna was putting over how she beat Becky Lynch and Bayley and all that stuff. Rhea Ripley basically congratulated her on winning at Survivor Series, but said she beat Shayna in War Games. She'll do it again for the title. And she wanted to fight right then and there, but Shayna wanted no part of that, so she basically bailed. She politely declined her offer, we'll say.
A lot of good business here. First, Shayna and the Horsewomen just coming out and beating up the other two, just being like, "Yep, we're still the baddest bitches around." Like, all right, I lost, but I lost at War Games, but I also beat Bayley and Becky Lynch. So like, I'm still the queen around here. She doesn't need to be reestablished, but just showing like she's still the bully and the badass, and so I like that. And then Rhea Ripley comes out though, and it's like, oh, this is the person that beat me. And then so Rhea Ripley now comes off as a bad, and she's over. I think she's the top star in NXT right now with the reaction she's getting. She is over, and she comes off so well. She carries herself so well. This promo was great. I cannot wait for this match. I know the next takeover isn't until like mid-February. I don't think they can wait that long on this match. I really don't. It is red hot right now. You do this title change at Full Sail, it comes off huge because Ripley's getting that big pop. I just don't think they can wait until February to do this title change.
Yeah, there's a big part of me that it's like I kind of want the title change to happen on TakeOver because I want it to on the surface look like a big deal, but as you said, it feels really, really hot now. And I do think that Full Sail, even though obviously it's not a huge arena, I do think that the reaction would more than make up for the lack of size, and that it would come off really big. And it's just, you're asking for a lot to have people wait through December and January and into February. We're talking like 10, almost 11 weeks. And I don't know if they can keep it up for 11 weeks to make it matter as much as they can, like it would in a couple weeks. So I agree with you. I think they kind of need to pull the trigger sooner rather than later, get the big moment, and probably Shayna moves on to feud with Becky eventually. But yeah, I think you need to do it because I don't think that they're going to... I don't want to say it's lack of fan patience. I have a lack of faith in that they can keep it hot for another 11 or so weeks.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. Is it is so hot right now, and you can only do so much in those 11 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just keep doing the like tag team matches where they face each other. You can't just keep doing video promos and stuff, promos against each other. Like, you run out of things to say after 11 weeks. You can just only do so much in that amount of time. And, that's why you don't see a lot of, even throughout history, like, okay, there are long-term storylines in history, but you don't see these long-term storylines that lead to, especially when something is this hot. People will point at like Hogan and Sting, but that's because Sting literally sat in the rafters for an entire year. You're not doing that with Rhea Ripley. Like, what other kind of like long-term stuff where two people were 1,000,000% engaged with each other for 11 weeks? Like, all right, you can say like, Austin and Rock leading up to WrestleMania 15, like that's a long-term story that they finally played off there. But those two weren't engaged with each other until February after, kind of, I guess Austin won the Rumble, but then he was still feuding with McMahon, and then he turned into the feud with The Rock and stuff. So it's tough to build a match for 11 weeks where you're gonna have that. They've had this engagement for a while, and now this entire time, you're right that it'll seem like a bigger deal in at Takeover with the bigger building. I think one thing that does help, one, it will certainly be the pop. Two, will be like it's on USA Network now. It's not on WWE Network. Like anything NXT does automatically kind of feels like a bigger deal because of the platform they have now.
Yeah. And again, like I said, it's like on the surface, I would want to wait to take over, but it's too long away. And I think NXT does a lot of things right, but at the end of the day, it's still WWE, and I really fear that they cannot hold off that build for 11 weeks. And still have it come off as hot.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a WWE thing. I think it's just almost a nowadays thing where it's tough to, like, the build. You can look at like the build for Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey. Okay, it started maybe at Survivor Series and then it ended at WrestleMania, but they weren't in each other's faces for those entire 11 weeks. You know, they did Survivor Series. Becky got hurt. They go to they're away from each other at TLC until Ronda runs in. They're away from each other at Royal Rumble because Ronda's feuding with Sasha and Becky wins the Rumble. And then from the Rumble on until WrestleMania, okay, then they're engaged with each other. But the counter to that is, look at the build to that after the however long they had. You can only do so much with each other in that many weeks when you're 100% engaged like that. So yeah, okay, maybe it's a WWE thing. I just think it's just a lack of ideas, like just in overall type thing. It's just really tough to pull off unless you're not doing promos. Like if you just have someone stand there the entire time and they just never touch each other. But that's already been, we've already seen it. They've wrestled each other. They're talking to each other. So it's just tough to do.
See, I'm afraid that it's going to get WWE eyes to where they end up doing like 3 random tag matches and like a random 4-way along the way, so that by the time you get the takeover, I'm fucking bored of it, you know? I don't want to see any bullshit like that.
Right, and this is that's the problem, is you can only do so much. Like, you got to do these tag team matches, you got to do these promos, and you can only say so much in 11 weeks that you haven't said before. You keep throwing them in these tag matches, it's tough to do. So yeah, it's too long. I don't think they can do it, and so they don't need to. Just put the belt on Rhea next week. Honestly, if they put the belt on Rhea next week, like, who's complaining?
So you kind of mentioned that Rhea feels like the biggest star in NXT right now, and I think that's kind of hard to argue, because she really does. I mean, she comes out, she almost doesn't have to do anything but stand there, and this crowd fucking loves her. She's coming off of that great week, again, where she pinned Charlotte, she won War Games, she won a Survivor Series. She feels like a big star. I think another story being lost in the rise of Rhea Ripley is the fact that for the longest time, it felt like Toni Storm was going to be their next big women's star. She had a great background. She had a ton of work in the UK and Japan and everything. Gets signed, wins the Mae Young Classic, wins the NXT UK women's title. And then she's just like, she lost the title and she's been working like more non-NXT UK dates than NXT UK dates. And yeah, they brought her in for Survivor Series, but she didn't really do much. And it just feels like, I don't know if WWE soured on her or what it is, but for whatever reason, Toni Storm has really kind of dropped off for whatever reason. And Rhea Ripley at age 23 has just rocketed past her, which is something I don't think a lot of people saw coming at all.
No, I didn't see Rhea Ripley. Like, when she came out to even confront Shayna Baszler all those months ago, it was like, okay, Rhea Ripley's nice. Like, she'd always been kind of a heel, so it's like, all right, why is she coming out here and confronting Baszler? Like, aren't they both kind of heels? So it was weird. And then, a month she came out the NXT right before they went on USA Network. So 2.5 months later, 2 months later, she is the biggest thing in NXT in 2 months. 2 months she 2.5 months ago, she came out and confronted Baszler for the first time. And 2.5 months later, it's like, yeah, this is the top person in this promotion. Certainly the top female. She's getting these huge reactions. All right, if you want to argue Ciampa, Adam Cole is still there, Finn Balor even, but even they're not getting the reaction Rhea Ripley got tonight.
Yes, she's just, I love the fact that she's grown so much as a performer, and it's really cool to see. I love watching people grow into stars, you know what I mean? It's such a cool thing to see, and again, it's very unexpected. And to further back up your point that they need to do the title change sooner rather than later, I just think you need to follow up that momentum from Survivor Series weekend, because she came out of that weekend as a star. She was well on her way to becoming one, but that weekend solidified it. And yeah, just the crowd reaction she gets in Full Sail, you need to do it. So hopefully, I think they will soon, Jeremy. We'll see how soon, though. But I definitely want to see it. So we will move
next week.
Hey, actually, no. They need to actually announce it at least a week ahead of time, please. Which is going to be a criticism I have here in a moment. Main event, Finn Balor defeating Tommaso Ciampa in 11.5 minutes via pin. Let me get this out of the way. This is a match I would not have run this week. They did not announce it ahead of time. They did not give it any build. It's a first-time match. You add that all together, I think that's a horrible mistake. This is a match that you need to give some build to. I mean, in theory, you're trying to make people watch your wrestling show. So if you went out, you do the angle at the beginning of the show, they have a pull apart, whatever, and then William Regal announces it. At the very least, next week, if not in 2 weeks, they're going to face. So you can build it up. That's what I would have done. So I think it was a mistake running it tonight. I did think the match was good. Cole ends up costing Ciampa at the end. And it feels like they're going to work that slow burn to Cole and Ciampa at Mania weekend, which I don't have a problem with. Balor's still at the beginning of his heel run. But I wouldn't have ran the match this week. That just felt like a big mistake to me. Your thoughts, sir?
I'm with you, because this did feel like it should be a big match. It's two of your three biggest male stars, in at least healthy, going against each other in the main event with 2 hours build, not even 2 hours build. So it was a short time to do it, but I guess they felt they needed to capitalize, and so they did. But they certainly could have held off and gotten a little bit more build to this. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I wish they would have, give it at least a week, man, because as you said, these are two of their bigger male stars, and it felt like it deserved more than the hour and a half build it got. So post-match, Adam Cole stands next to Balor in the ring. He does his little Undisputed Era pose. Balor does his little finger guns, and then Adam Cole pats him on the back like they're buddies. But Finn Balor hit that fucking assassin-like Pele kick to his face. And he was like, "Not today, buddy." So that was our big show closing angle.
On the match, I enjoyed it. It was too short, and I guess if you're gonna have very little build for it, you may as well make it kind of short and just make it like, oh yeah, we know these guys can do more, and just wait. We will build this, and we will give you a bigger match. So that's why I'll excuse the short build a little bit, because they didn't give away like much of anything really. I like the finish as well, because the referee screwed up, and Balor the belt just happened to be in the ring, and Ciampa got planted on it by Balor. It wasn't Balor's fault. The referee screwed up and left it in the ring. So I like that little touch. Ciampa doesn't lose anything by losing, especially with that finish. And then the post match angle was great because we all knew Finn Balor wasn't aligned with Undisputed Era. At least we had an inkling, because he never like did the symbol or anything. He always pointed the guns and he was kept his distance and stuff. But Adam Cole, who is just so self-absorbed and just thinks like everyone loves him and he's the best thing running today. Of course he thinks like, yeah, he's giving me the guns, like Bullet Club. Like, of course he wants to join our group and hang out with us and stuff. And Finn kicks him in the fucking head. And I thought Adam Cole's sell of this was great as well. So yeah, this was a good match that still left some meat on the bone, which a little bit of a complaint there. And then the post-match angle made a lot of sense and predictable, maybe. I don't care if it's predictable, if it still makes sense and it comes off strong. Same with like the Dakota Kai heel turn. Was it predictable? Sure. The crowd loved it and it made sense. So same thing here.
Predictable is okay if it makes sense and it comes off well. I mean, predictable is not good when it looks like shit and nobody cares. It's a pretty simple formula, you know. But yeah, I don't think predictable is bad, especially like you said, going back to that Dakota Kai heel turn. I knew it was coming at some point. I was waiting for her to maybe get into cage. I was joking with somebody DM'd me. I was joking that she was gonna go into the cage and run wild and do the Sting thing and leave and bail on them all. And but I mean, she didn't even do that. She was like, "Fuck you guys! I'm just gonna beat the shit out of my best friend and leave." So yeah, that came off great. So again, predictable, not always a bad thing as long as you do it well.
If you try to do unpredictable shit all the time, that's when you get Vince Russo, when it's like, oh, let's just have shit to happen for the sake of happening. Like, if it's predictable and it makes sense, like this did, I don't think it's bad at all.
No, neither do I. Because, I mean, I know that people want to do unpredictable because they want to do the gotcha thing. But it doesn't make it good. Just because you got people, you know? It's like, I don't know. So anyway, Jeremy, that is going to lead us to the head-to-head comparison for the week. I will go first if you don't mind. AEW Dark overall I thought was a good show, but at the same time I felt it was missing something compared to the recent weeks. There was good wrestling. They're still doing a better job of trying to get promos and video packages in, but not all of it landed smoothly with me. It flew by, I think, was the best thing I can say about the show. It never feels long, never feels like a drag. Obviously, as we talked about earlier, there's still work to be done on things like the women's division. It was good, but at the same time, kind of flat, and it feels weird using the word, but I think the worst show they've done so far, even though I thought it was good. NXT... Yeah, just gonna run me over there, are you? No, NXT... I know, fucking trucking me. Jesus, Jeremy. NXT, I thought was very good with a lot of good wrestling, good fallout from War Games. They're setting things in motion coming out of the event. Again, not a perfect show, though, because I think that they stifled the momentum of Lee and Dijakovic, and I really would have advertised Ciampa and Balor for at least next week at the very least. But, again, they're setting some good things in motion, and Rhea Ripley is coming off like a huge fucking star. So, my overall this week, I will go with NXT.
I have to go with NXT as well. I'm with you on Dynamite, where it wasn't a bad show. It was certainly a good show, but it did feel like the weakest show they have done so far. And that says a lot about what they've done so far, that, you know, a good show is feeling like their weakest. I think one issue, aside from the issues I brought up during the review, one kind of overall issue with things is, I don't know if the miking was bad, but it certainly seemed off all night, and that was a problem. And on top of that, this crowd did not feel hot, and that has really helped a lot of AEW shows, is the crowd just treats everything like it's the biggest thing in the world. And so even if it's not like great because of the crowd, like it feels amazing. And this crowd just wasn't there. And I don't know the reason for it. My speculation is, one, I don't think it was mic'd well. So they may have been into it in the arena, but it just didn't come across on television. My bigger thing is that like this was the 5th show in 6 days for Chicago. People can say there's not, WWE and AEW crossover. Look, I'm willing to bet that the majority of the fans who went to this show went to at least one of the WWE events because, by the end of it, they may have gotten a cheap price or something. Like it's still like the War Games, like, I'm sure that was well attended. Survivor Series with NXT was probably, well attended. Like I'm sure a lot of these fans went to at least one WWE show. And even if they didn't, there's just the town fatigue of there's just been a lot of wrestling in this town. And even if you're not going to all of these shows, you're just burnt out by like how much of it there has just been in the town. So by the time you get there, it's like, yeah, shit, like I just watched all of these shows in my own town, or I just heard about all of these shows. Now I'm here. It's just a lot. And Chicago's always been a good market for really any wrestling company, but the 6th or the 5th major show in 6 nights, it's a lot to deal with. And even though Chicago's been good to AEW in the past, those have been, special big attraction events. This was just a Wednesday Dynamite, literally the day before Thanksgiving. So people may have also been traveling like away from Chicago instead of to Chicago as a destination, like has been in the past. So I do think the crowd hurt Dynamite for the first time ever, where typically the crowd always boosts the show.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. And I know people always like to do that there's not a lot of crossover, blah, blah, blah. But like you said, Chicago's a big wrestling town. They usually draw well for everybody. And I would venture to say a lot of people that would go to Dynamite are really hardcore fans, were at least at NXT, likely at Survivor Series or Raw, So, I mean, yeah, I could definitely see some fatigue being an issue there. And Chicago's got a lot of shows this year. I mean, Bound for Glory was there too, and just all the other places that run there and all that. So MLW's pay-per-view was in Chicago too, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they had All Out, which was only 2 months ago.
Yeah.
They've had
a lot.
Chicago's had a lot of shows in the last 2 months. And again, this was just a Dynamite TV show. It was not a destination show like All In and All Out, where other fans were traveling to this show because it's like, oh, there's the StarCast convention, it's a major pay-per-view, blah 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 blah. Like it wasn't that. It was just a Wednesday show at not only the end of at the end of a 2 month span where it's like, oh, it's a lot of shows. WWE just ran 4 shows in 4 nights in the town, and then 2 nights later, like, you're coming to the town. So it's a lot to ask for these fans. I understand why they want to do Chicago every year. This is apparently going to be a tradition. That's fine. I don't think WWE is going to be running 4 nights there next year. Hopefully it'll come across better for them next year. And I don't think Thanksgiving can be ignored. It's a big holiday in the U.S. People argue it's the second biggest holiday behind Christmas. So people were possibly traveling out of town. People possibly had, friends and family there. And, so you're not going to get maybe like the rowdier wrestling fans that you would typically get just because they weren't there, or they're burnt out because it's the holidays. Like, holidays are stressful. It could be, it's cold outside, it's raining outside. I realize it seems like we're trying to make excuses for why the crowd is down, but there are a lot of red flags there of proof of like, hey, yeah, we can understand why the crowd was a little bit quieter for this show.
Yeah, and like I said too, it's like, and that's part of it too. It's just that show felt like it was just missing something. And so, I mean, obviously, can't all be home runs. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, it is what it is. Again, it was far from bad. I thought it was good, but it was like low-level good. I didn't hate anything there wasn't stuff on there that was flat out horrible. Again, there are issues which we broke down. Not perfect, but we'll see what happens going forward. Again, still a young company that still has to improve many things, despite the fact that they are doing a lot of good stuff. So that is going to wrap us up. You're going NXT too, you said tonight, for the overall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely NXT. I think this was honestly like and I'm not saying this was like a big stretch that NXT was better, but I think this was the closest of where I was just 100% confident. Like definitely NXT, and it's not like it's close. Both are really, really good. Both were really good, but I feel very confident in saying NXT was the better show this week.
Yeah. So Jeremy, ratings. What are you thinking? It is the night before Thanksgiving. The interesting thing to consider is that we talked last week of would NXT possibly get a pay-per-view bump because they had War Games, they were going to be on Survivor Series, and they did walk out the big winners from the weekend. But Raw did not get that traditional big post pay-per-view bump.
Yeah, because Raw sucked at Survivor Series, and then the opening segment, Seth Rollins told everybody they sucked, so why would people tune in?
But do you think AEW goes back and wins the week, and do you think NXT will see a significant drop after the pay-per-view, or will they be very close? What do you think overall? I'm really torn on this because part of me thinks that NXT was going to get that big boost, but the Raw number kind of made me be like, maybe not. I still feel like, leading up to today, AEW felt like the hotter show compared to NXT. And I feel that in a lot of weeks, though. And I mean, every week except for last week, it was, AEW had won, and even last week was really close. So AEW still felt like the hotter show in the lead up on Wednesday morning and afternoon. NXT was presented strong, and I think the best case scenario for NXT is if they do lose, it's still close and they show improvement. Because the last time, it was close when they had the WWE boost, the Raw and SmackDown boost, I should say. And then the next week, like they lost by 200,000 again without that boost. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that didn't really do too much. And then last week they won with the Raw and SmackDown boost. And so this week you would hope, like, even if you don't win, you're only losing by like 50,000 or so, because that would show like, all right, we didn't win, but, people are still hanging in there, catching on, seeing what's out there or seeing what's up with the show. And we can build off of this because NXT is clearly building a lot of stuff. And they're sticking to a long-term plan, seemingly. And, that's a good sign. So I think that would be best case scenario for NXT. Winning is best case scenario, but a good scenario for them would be losing by like 50,000 or so. I will say AEW wins in the viewership this week, though. Yeah, I think AEW probably comes back and wins this week. I'm more interested to see how much of that audience from last week NXT retains. Like, kind of like what we just spoke about and you talked about. If they see another big drop after they won, then it's like, yeah, they won that 1 week because Hunter said, hey guys, come watch NXT, real stars are going to be there. That's how it's going to come off. Hopefully, even if they lose, and they might not, they may win, who the fuck knows. But the thing is, I'm going to be interested to see if they can retain that high number, or close to that number of last week. Because if they do, that's going to be the biggest boost in confidence they can get, because normally they track back down rather quickly. So I'm more interested in the overall retention, and also how much Thanksgiving Eve, so to speak, hurts both shows.
Yeah, the Thanksgiving stuff will be telling as well, because friends and family might be in town, some people might be traveling, and you're just it's a tough day, because I feel like almost like Christmas Eve shows are hurt worse than like Christmas shows, because by the time the Christmas show rolls around, you're like, I spent all day with my family, I might as well watch this wrestling show. But the Eve show is like, okay, family's in town, I have to spend this time with them. So yeah, I do think that'll play a part. I think both numbers are actually going to be down, because last week was a strong week for both shows. I think both numbers are going to be down.
Probably. So that is going to wrap us up for tonight. Before we go, want to wish everybody that's celebrating it a happy Thanksgiving. And also, before we go, I want to let everybody know, show will be back on Saturday. Jeremy is out of town this weekend. Jeremy, tell everybody where you're going.
Going to WrestleCade to interview Tessa Blanchard. Yeah, next Impact World Champion. I'll be talking with her and a bunch of other Impact and NWA stars are going to be there. A lot of legends are going to be there. They're doing some wrestling shows. Going to be a fun weekend at WrestleCade.
Tune in next Thursday where Jeremy will drop a bucket full of names for you all to pick up.
I will. That is correct. I'm gonna be like the Harlem Globetrotters, where it's on bucket and it's you fake it out with water, but instead of water, it's all the pieces of paper with names that I have on it.
Fair enough, but I'm gonna be back Saturday, and I got a special show for everybody on Saturday. I'll let you know what's going on now. Steve Cook is gonna be coming back to the show. We are gonna be talking about season 2 of WoW Women of Wrestling. Former 411 writer Jerome Cuson joined me. I've already recorded with him. We're going to do a deep dive onto the institutional breakdown and loss of overall perception and quality in Ring of Honor in 2019. And then the big guest, someone I'm excited to talk about, the Cubs fan, the man that runs the Lucha blog, is going to join me. He wanted to talk some ROH. We're going to talk some Lucha, get into his background and all kind of stuff. I've been a big fan of Cubs fan for a long time. He is my go-to guy when I have to dig into Lucha and do previews for stuff like Fantastica Mania and like the Global Wars and Spectacular stuff. He is pretty much the walking encyclopedia for Lucha. So that is going to be up Saturday. I hope everybody enjoys it and takes time to listen. So until next time, this was the 411 on Wrestling podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, all major podcasting outlets, and of course the 411mania.com website. Please make sure to subscribe to the show, share us around on social media, and if you have time, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and all of your other platforms you listen to the show on. We would greatly appreciate it. Have a good week, everybody.